We hire and fire based on core values. I think a lot of business owners, they think to show your emotions and to be humble and to share that. Some people would say it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. A lot of business owners would say, well, boy, I would never share the numbers and why would I do that? Back in the day, it was command and control. Do what I say. Don't question anything. Don't open the books. It's just how things were run. The values that you really live at home are the same values that should be brought into the office. You're either going to sell more, sell at a higher profit, or reduce expenses. That's it. We have a saying around here, with lack of information, people create their own stories. Think about that. Every business owner at some point in time, especially in a small organization, they feel like they're on an island. The weight of the world is on their shoulders. They really feel like they're the ones that have to make all the decisions. Is the owner's closet lined with gold bars? That's a saying that I would say. No, it's not lined with gold bars.
Welcome to the Culture from the Heart podcast on the From the Heart Business Network. In a business world where employees and customers crave authenticity and trust, hosts Larry Levine and Daryl Amy are on a mission to find and showcase heart-centered executives and the companies they lead. You are about to hear an inspiring conversation with a visionary leader that's bringing heart into the workplace, empowering employees, serving their clients, and uplifting communities, all to create true success. This is Culture from the Heart. The movement starts here. Let's begin.
Welcome to Culture from the Heart. I'm your co-host, Daryl Amy, here today with Larry Levine, and we're joined by John Costello. He's the president and CEO at Cherry's Industrial Equipment Corporation, where they help companies create a more productive, safer, and cleaner industrial workplace. John, welcome to Culture from the Heart. It's great to have you here.
Hi, Daryl. Hey, Larry.
Glad to be
good.
Here. Yeah, we're going to have a great time. Good seeing you again, John.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. And as we get started, you know the question that every guest on the Culture from the Heart podcast answers, and that is, John, what does Culture from the Heart mean to you?
Culture from the Heart. I mean, a couple of things, and I shared this a little bit before with Larry. I think it's some of the things that people love about me as a CEO, and some of the things that I drive them crazy about. Culture from the heart. You know, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. You know. This is a company that I'll go back a little bit. Back in '94, when I started, the first week at the company, I was like, "Holy cow! What did I get myself into?" Small organization, 4 or 5 people, and the first week they are cussing at each other. I mean, it was a family-owned business, but I had never heard so much swearing in the first week in any sort of company. It was just unbelievable, and really, from that moment, I loved the customers. I loved what we did. I loved that I was in selling because that's my passion. But the culture of the company really was bad. It was almost like, where we had like 2 personalities. Our personality to the customer was amazing, and our personality to each other was not. We were so duplicitous. I mean, and so for me, culture from the heart is that you're the same person. You know, you're the same organization, inward or out. You know, so if you're passionate about what you do, if you're passionate about the people that work for you or work around you, that's really the key. We're a sales organization. We love selling, but that's got to bleed through the organization too. And I think if you really love what you're doing and love working with other people, that gets exuded out. People feel that, customers feel that. So that's really important. The heart side of it, and it's weird that when Larry and I started talking, I think we were separated at birth at some point in time. I mean, honest to God, there were so many similarities that we had. It's shocking. But where I was going with this is that it's really important that your sales organization also feels that and believes that. And it's hard to build a company around that. Salespeople typically tend to be money motivated, which is good. I mean, you want to have money motivated salespeople, but how do you get them to understand that the culture of the organization is just as important? that it's a we much more than a me, even though you want to have a salesperson that's got this me, personality baked in. So there's a lot more that I can uncover, but I think that's a good place to start.
Oh, no, it is a great place to start. And I could tell you've seen it all going from in the mid 90s, 4 people at your company to where it is now. And I'm sure you've seen the culture just, evolve over time. And I really want to hone in on, you had mentioned you wear your emotions on your sleeve as part of developing your culture. A couple things. Where'd you learn this from? And what have you seen develop inside your company as it relates to the culture by you wearing your emotions on your sleeve?
Yeah, I think my parents obviously did some good things, and so I want to call them out. Number one, I'm one of 7. We struggled growing up. We worked at a very young age. So that was baked into us. We had this hard, determined work ethic. Our values. I think I heard this recently that your values are learned and institutionalized, I think, by the time you're in 2nd grade. It could be younger than that, and these are things that you learn from your pastor, your priest, your parents, other people that are influential in your life. And it took me a long time to realize this. And then the values that you really live at home are the same values that should be brought into the office. So if we go back a lot of years ago, I remember sitting, again, small office, there's a salesperson next to me, and I'm working, and I can kind of hear out of my left ear that he is going to screw this deal up. I mean, like, really. And I remember, like stopping what I'm doing, and I go over and I'm helping him out. And then somebody else afterwards, they said, why are you doing that? I mean, you really have no stake in the outcome. You have no stake in the company. And I just said, well, isn't that just the right thing to do? I mean, who would want to see somebody else slip and fall at the expense, of others? And so I always thought that there was a different way to run a company. I mean that in a bad way. My mentor, the guy that started the company, I mean, he gave me a ton of opportunities, and I love the man, and I wouldn't change anything. But I think back in the day, it was command and control. Do what I say, don't question anything, and don't open the books, it's just how things were run. I think he still cared for us. I mean, he was not that sort of an owner that just would not, praise you or say good job, or just, even use the L word from time to time. But he just ran the company differently. So, when you fast forward a little bit, when I became an owner, I thought to myself, boy, there's got to be a better way to run the company. It just can't be me, driving all the results, me doing everything. It's got to come from the bottom up. And that's because, when I was in that chair looking at somebody else that was failing, I'm like, hey, if I help that other person, it's going to help the company out ultimately. I mean, it wasn't going to put any money in my pocket, but it could take money away from me. And why would I let somebody else fail? So,
I love it.
So the hard side of it, I think I learned at a young age. And then there's a couple of other stories in there where I had a business partner, and I'm the sole owner of the company today. But we had some people that were in the parking lot with their doors closed and crying just because it was a terrible work environment. And that's really sad, as the business owner, that you have people that don't want to come to work. They don't want to participate. They don't feel like they're making a difference, or they're being belittled, or they don't feel like that they're that they're recognized for what they're doing. So those were moments for me, is like, what is the right way to do it, and what is the right way, to run the business? And I think a lot of business owners, they think to show your emotions and to be humble and to share that. Some people would say it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. We're all human at the end of the day. We're all going to make some mistakes, but I think it's better for people to understand that you don't have all the answers, that you're on the same journey of exploration and learning that they are. And it's helped me here significantly to really kind of open up and just open all sides to me, of like the good and the bad. So.
Fantastic story, John. Well, we're going to take a brief break to hear from our sponsors. And when we come back, I want to dive deeper into the progress the company has made and what the story looks like today. So sit tight. We'll see you in a moment. At Culture from the Heart, we believe that great leaders put their people first, leading with empathy and purpose. That's why we're thrilled to partner with Learn It, a global leader in learning for over 30 years, to bring you an exclusive offer: 45 days of free, unlimited training for your team with a minimum of 5 participants.
This isn't just about skills. It's about creating a culture where your people feel valued, supported, and empowered to grow. Did you know that 94% of employees are more likely to stay at companies that invest in their development? Culture from the Heart means giving your team the tools they need to thrive, not just for today, but for the future.
Learn It's courses help your team master essential skills like communication, collaboration, and emotional intelligence, all foundations of a people-first workplace. It's about fostering resilience, connection, and growth.
Don't wait. Visit learnit.com/culture to claim your 45 days of free training and start building a workplace where your people and your business can thrive.
That's learnit.com/culture. Start enhancing your learning culture today. And welcome back. We're with John Costello. He is the CEO and president of Cherry's Industrial Equipment. John, what a great story about the company. Just thinking about the progress from, over 3 decades, a handful of people. What does the company look like today? And what role are some of these values that you talked about playing in the culture that you're creating at the company?
Yeah, so I mentioned we are 4 employees. We're now over 20 employees. We've got some lifers like me, so I'll be celebrating 31 years with the company coming up in September. We've got another person who's been with us 25 years, and then 13, 10. So like I said, a lot of people that are more than the couple of years, and we hear this more and more that this is not a job here. It's really it's an opportunity and it's a career. So I'm going to go back a little bit. So it's an interesting story, and I think it's worth telling. I had shared this, and I've shared this with many other people. So we're an open book, transparent company, and we practice. It's called the Great Game of Business, and Jack Stack started it in the 80s, and we've been doing it since 2018. And it's really made a huge difference here in the company. It's I think a lot of business owners would say, well, boy, I would never share the numbers, and why would I do that? And for us, going through 2 leverage buyouts, so I bought out the founder. His nephew was my partner, and then I bought out the partner. And it's a much longer story. We'd have to go through, several beers and to share that one. But in 18, when the seller financing was over and I was able to get bank financing, I remember going back and thinking about the Great Game of Business, because I was at a company in like 2011, saw what they were doing, and I thought, boy, this is really something that's missing here. Every business owner at some point in time, especially in a small organization, they feel like they're on an island. Just this, the weight of the world is on their shoulders. They really feel like they're the ones that have to make all the decisions. You have all these families that are relying on you. And I thought, let's open up the books, but it's just not opening up the books. It's the stories behind it. And we really felt this was going to be a way for the employees to really participate. We want to create a business of business owners, which, anyone from the CFO all the way down to a forklift driver now here can do not only an income statement, they know what it is. but they also they know stuff like cash flow. They know inventory. They a lot of these financial things that they didn't know before this are commonplace around here. So we've been doing that since 18. We had, like most companies, we had put together our mission statement and our values. And, I want to say back before 18, they were just in a desk drawer and nobody ever looked at them. Or they were in like the foyer, the waiting room, but nobody could recite them. Everybody today could recite those. It was our purpose, all of our values. We recognized those every week. And we also went through and we did an exercise, which I thought was pretty cool because, again, a lot of this can be top down. So we started with our leadership team and just a little Post-it notes. You probably have heard this exercise, but we're like, just write on a Post-it note 5 values that you learned as a kid or something that you hold dear. We took the Post-it notes, we put them up on a wall, and then we went through and we said, okay, what are similar? And it was really amazing that maybe the verbiage was a little different, but there was perfect alignment. It was really cool. And then we took this and we moved it out to the rest of the company. And so we have 6 core values today. And these are every Tuesday, we have a weekly huddle. We go through our core values. There's core value recognition. There's awards that are around this. And like I said, everyone in the organization not only can recite it, but I'll give you a recent example of how serious that we take this. One of the people in our customer service department, there were 3 service requests. Things didn't go right. And in the meeting, she said, I just want to let you know that one of our core values is do the right thing always, even if it costs us money. And she said, we lost money on this, we lost money on this, and we lost money on this. And there wasn't a single person in the room that was angry about it. That's when you know that the values have kind of gone through the organization. Because before that, it would have been like, well, why did you do that? And why didn't we do this? Why didn't we push back? Why didn't we? No, it's something where if you're leading your life with that and you're leading the business with that, as long as you're aligning with the core values, you can't go wrong. Now, if you wander from it and you're making a decision that's outside of the core values, then we're going to set you aside and we're going to talk about it. We hire and fire based on core values.
Oh, I like this. And when you start looking at your core values and then you go back to 2018 and you institute this open book policy, what did you start noticing, John, as it relates to employee engagement? Because in the beginning, they're probably scratching their head going, where is all this going? But today, I can sense it's deeply ingrained. What did you learn along the way with your employees and how they started to become even more engaged?
Well, the first thing that was really interesting is we had a small group. We called it our design team. And so we had to come up with scoreboards and way of measuring and metrics and stuff like that. And the first thing that happened is we said, anybody know what gross profit is? Well, everybody knows what top line is. What about net profit? We said, just take a stab. What do you think the net profit of the company was? And at that point in time, we weren't doing very well. And it was like 17%, 25%. And I was like, guys, I would be on a private island right now. If we were 25% net profit, I wouldn't be here. I certainly would not be here. And then we shared what the number was. And there was somebody in our marketing department, and he raised his hand and he said, wow. He said, you could get better returns in the market right now. He's like, why are you doing this? And it was like at that point in time, it was a eureka moment. You knew that people were engaged. We have a saying around here, with lack of information, people create their own stories. Think about that. So companies that are holding things back, their employees they're unclear. Are we making money? Are they going to close the doors tomorrow? Is the owner's closet lined with gold bars? That's a saying that I would say. No, it's not lined with gold bars, right? So from that point, now the bonuses here are based on the profitability of the company. So if we have a shipment that goes awry, it used to be like, oh, well, now it's like, well, we sent the wrong thing to Florida. That's $1,500 that comes right off the bottom line here, guys. That comes right out of your bonus. So people are more engaged. They're thinking about that. We've had some new employees that they're just in wonderment about this because like I've never been at a company. Some new employees are like, does every company do this? I'm like, not every company does this. And it's the reason why they don't want to leave. They really, I think that the youngest generation is really been misunderstood. They really want to make an impact. They want to make an impact right away. It's not all about money for them. And this is a way for them to feel like they're making an impact because they are. They get to push the buttons and pull the levers with all of us. It's just not their boss pushing the levers or pulling the levers and pushing the buttons. It's pretty cool. And then there's victories every day, which is really cool to see.
Well, it's time for a short break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to continue this great conversation with John Costello. At Culture from the Heart, we know that hiring the right salespeople and leaders for your company is about more than just resumes. It's about finding individuals who have what it takes to succeed. That's why we're excited to offer candidate assessments from Selling from the Heart to help ensure you make great hiring decisions for your sales team.
Based on data from surveys of over 2.2 million sales professionals and sales leaders, these assessments benchmark your candidates against the core skills of top-performing salespeople and leaders. You'll gain unparalleled insight into their potential, uncovering whether they have the mindset, abilities, and behaviors needed to thrive in your organization.
It's not just about filling a role. It's about ensuring that every sales hire aligns with your culture and contributes to your success. Don't leave your next hire to chance.
Visit sellingfromtheheart.net/hiring and discover how candidate assessments can help you build a winning team. Make your next hire with confidence because your business deserves the best.
Thanks for tuning back in. I want to continue this discussion, John, about the great game of business and your open book policy. Sounds like it's had a tremendous impact on the culture. I'm curious, what advice would you give to other CEOs and leaders that are listening in going, open book? Really? Like, are you sure? What would you say to those leaders who are hesitant around open book policies?
Well, I mean, this was told to me, before I took it on. They said you have to be serious. You can't go into this thinking that you're just going to share part of it. We don't share payroll, but the rest of it, I mean, you can't be partially honest. If you're going to open up, you're going to open up, to everything. So, and some business owners are like, well, how about we just show this? No, I mean, we talk about financial accuracy. So there's nothing worse than recasting numbers. There's nothing worse than putting out a number that's inaccurate. Because now that people are insiders, not outsiders, they want to be insiders in everything. So as a business owner, just think about that. If you're creating a business of insiders, you can't have secrets. And business owners are used to not sharing everything, right? But it is magical. I mean, the magic part of it is that once you have a business of insiders, they all really feel like it's their money, just not the owner's money. So they start to think of, like, I'll give you a quick story. We have an engineer. He started with us about 1.5 years ago. We were having a problem getting some immersion heaters for some of our equipment. And he went out, found another source, brought them in. We'll see how it plays out, but it was a savings of like $200 or $300 per heater. And so started to do the math and was like, our savings would be $18,000 over the course of the year. Are we going to pass the savings along to the customer, partial savings? But whichever way you look at it, we didn't have an environment prior to this where somebody would be looking at that. It would just be business as usual every day. Our crisis would come up and we're like, okay, we've got to find another vendor. So you want the organization to start within reason of like, how are we going to save money on refuse? How are we going to save money here and here? And that's not the manager doing that, that's the line item holder. That's somebody that's responsible for that number of trying to either bring more profit to the business, because there's really three ways to do it. You're either going to sell more, sell at a higher profit, or reduce expenses. That's it.
Mhm.
I mean, it took me a long time. I didn't do very good in accounting back in college. It took me a long time to realize that was it. I mean, that
Mhm.
really is what it boils down to, you know? So our sales team is always like, let's sell more or sell at a higher profit or reduce expenses. And everything flows down to the bottom line. And every employee here knows that.
Hmm.
Hey, John, you know what I love about this is you have a whole entire company full of CEOs and business owners. I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. They're all thinking like you're thinking, right? They're all thinking like they're the captain of the ship, and every day everyone's in charge of steering the rudder.
Yeah, I would say the other thing that other business owners are maybe concerned about is like, we'll have people come in and I mean, customers sometimes can see our scoreboard. Our bank came in and saw our scoreboard, and they were worried of like, well, aren't you afraid that your employees now are going to leave you? And I said, maybe. I mean, maybe they will. I mean, but if they do, the first thing I always ask is, if you're going to leave to start another business, can I help you? Can I give you some seed money? Is this something that we could keep it in house? You learn this stuff here. There's other employees that have left. They weren't worth keeping, to tell you the truth. They weren't really as engaged in it, and that was good, because you want people to filter out the ones that don't believe. The bank, they found it amazing. They actually brought the bank president through, and the bank president was impressed. He was like, everyone in your organization knows what the bottom line is. Yeah. Do you think it was easy for us to try and get our line of credit extended? Not really. I mean,
Hmm.
it was easier because he knows that everybody in the organization is going after the same thing.
Hmm.
Do we use our line of credit? Not as often as we should. But that's the other thing, is everybody knows that that's an expense. So if we're using that line of credit, if we're using it for growth, that's great, because that's going to go to grow the sales number. If we're using it to pay off other expenses, that's not good, because that again is just going to come off the bottom line.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, I'm curious, what else have you learned on this journey of open book, and what are maybe some warnings as well along the way? Because I'm sure it wasn't all roses and sunshine.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it back around to sales, because I think that's probably a bigger challenge for open book companies. It's like, how do you compensate your sales team? Do you take away their commissions? Is it just base? I was telling Larry this. The challenge I had with our sales team in like the first couple of years is it's even a little bit more pressure on them.
Hmm.
I mean, every salesperson hates to go in front of their boss of what's in your pipeline, what's the number look like, and what's going to hit, and what's the percentage. And now imagine doing that in front of 20 other people.
Hmm.
So every Tuesday they're doing, because it's really forward forecasting is what we do. So
Mhm.
we also do new business forward forecasting. And they were like, this is terrible.
Hmm.
Because think about it, they're putting out this number. So do I make sure that it's a confident number? Do I stretch the number? Is it a conservative number? What do I do? And then every salesperson is always the same thing. It's like, I'm driving my own territory for my own self. So how
Hmm.
do you get them to think about the collective good of the entire organization? And that's been a challenge. Um, I'm lucky that I have a group of salespeople. If we're reconnecting the dots, they do believe in the culture. They do sell from their heart, and that's not only that they're selling to the customer from their heart. They're selling the rest of the company, and the rest of the employees. Because if they're throwing out a number and then we go through the actuals and the actuals are far off, I mean, it's just not one person asking them why are the numbers off. It's not their wife or their significant other asking why their commissions are down. It's the other people in the organization. So
Wow.
we work through that. It's critical, and it's critical for the success of the company.
Hey, John, I've always said this, and I just applaud you for this. Is a great conversation. Just absolutely enjoyed listening to your story. But I've always said leaders who lead with their heart, just like you're leading with your heart, John, you soon develop a group of sellers who sell from the heart. And you exude this. I just want to say thank you for sharing your story. We're grateful for our time together. And I wish you well on your journey.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's again, the selling from the heart. I'm so glad that Larry, that we met. I never really thought about that, but that is intrinsically what we do. I mean, now I can coin it and use it here that we were selling, if it's okay, because I mean, I always had a feeling that that's what we were doing. But
hey, John, we're an open book here, but not to that.
So good. Well, John, thank you so much for sharing your heart, your stories, your wisdom with us today. This has been an amazing conversation. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Great,
Awesome.
Great being with you.
Yeah. Larry, what a great conversation. And I think this concept of looking at an open book type culture and the transparency and the accountability that comes from that, very, very powerful concepts that John shared with us here today.
Absolutely. And there's one word that just comes to mind, and it kept coming to mind the whole time during our conversation, was the word trust. The amount of trust that John's developed inside of his team now by being open, by being honest, by being transparent, carrying his business this way, breeds trust, because I guarantee you this, they're sharing this with their friends, and this becomes a great recruitment tool.
Absolutely. Well, stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe. Thank you to everybody that's sharing the Culture from the Heart show. We are committed to finding and featuring the leaders of culture-centered, heart-centered, amazing companies just like John Costello here today. So stay tuned. We believe that culture is the heartbeat of every organization. And as John has reminded us, it's about a culture of transparency. So thank you for joining us today on Culture from the Heart. Until next time, lead with your heart and watch your culture thrive.
Thank you for joining us on this journey to discover heart-centered leaders shaping extraordinary company cultures. To access a leader guide with notes from this week's episode, simply click the link in the show notes or visit us at www.culturefromtheheart.com. Do you know a CEO who's built a culture from the heart? We'd love to hear their story. Head over to www.culturefromtheheart.com and click the Nominate Your CEO button. Until next time, remember, great cultures start with the heart.